I don't want to string them along, but we've had a whole bunch of questions.
Well, we should answer them.
Sound-wise, we'll get right into the pegs. What do you think of using pegs instead of mortal tuners?
Mortal?
Yeah.
Versus immortal?
Yeah, because when I take out a tuner, I want to vanquish it.
Yes. That's a frequently asked question. Pegs versus mechanical tuning machines versus the planetary pegs. They all work. As far as differences of sound, that's really, really slight. I don't know if I'd be able to. I wouldn't want to do a blindfold test. Maybe you could pull it off.
No, I mean, I can hear the difference in guitars when they go from like a really, really lightweight tuning machine to like something that's really heavy, like a set of the premium Gotos or even a set of Rogers. You can hear a slight and very slight difference that I don't know if I'm chalking up to the difference in taking tension off the strings and putting it back up. But I think that there is something to be said, and I do have a couple clients who swear up and down that sometimes if a guitar has a dead note, for them changing to a lighter set of tuning machines will get rid of that dead note. So that I think that there is something in play there.
I've got one thing to add to that. As a flamenco guitarist who spent my entire life playing guitars with friction pegs.
Okay.
Because that was always my preference. And it has nothing to do with the sound. It has everything to do with being able to change a string very quickly if you have a breakage.
Yep.
Versus the mechanical tuning. A traditional friction wooden tuning peg, as we see on a typical traditional flamenco guitar.
If only we had one handy.
Yes. Allows you to take the old string off and mount the new string incredibly fast and get it right up to pitch. And if you're playing for a bunch of impatient singers and dancers on a stage with an impatient audience sitting there waiting for you to get on with the entertainment, the last thing you want to be doing is sitting there crank with a mechanical
You're forgetting the important part.
Yes.
You got to undo the double thread and the knot that you already put into it.
Well, you shouldn't be doing that, but yes, that's right.
I had about 5 of those guitars this week where I'm sitting in there, clipping and clipping and clipping, and I can't get the strings out. Stop double threading your machines.
Yes.
There's a video either here or here on how to take care of that properly.
Yes.
While we were talking about the machines, we actually touched on the mechanical ones, and there's 3 major manufacturers. There's Pegheads, Geiwa, and Whitner.
Yes.
And as far as we're concerned, they're all the same.
Yeah.
What you are getting differently is the feel of the button, and some feel a little bit more premium, some don't. They all cost about the same, they all weigh about the same. I have an issue with these, and I've had to redo these a lot.
Yeah.
Is that what most people don't understand is that there is a left one and a right one for these.
Yes.
And most people, when they get them, they get it in their blister pack like this. They open it up and go.
Now they don't know which is which.
Yep. And the pitch on these is so incredibly minute that I actually, when I do this, I actually have to hold up the peg with a ruler to make sure that I'm getting them in the right direction, because I see a lot of these where they unwind. But that's actually not my biggest issue with these.
Yeah.
Do you know what my biggest issue is?
Well, I can tell you mine, but yes, go ahead.
Okay, let's start with yours.
Well, my biggest issue is that if you break one of these, there's no guarantee that that particular model will still be available to replace with. That becomes an issue to replace them. And also, you have to remount the heads if you had a traditional wooden peg.
No fair, you get 2.
Oh, okay.
So your second issue is my first big issue.
Ah, okay.
Okay, because for the most part, these things are really reliable and they can withstand a bang or a whack without breaking. My big issue is that they are sold as something that is easily just replaceable. You take out your old peg and you put this in and it works fine, but it doesn't. Because the size of the mechanical tuning machine itself is so much larger that you actually have to ream out the peg hole.
Yes.
And then once you've reamed out that peg hole, it's really hard to add the wood back. Now, I do that because that was one of the things that I got trained to do as a violin maker, was how to do a spiral bushing to properly get them into the hole and to shrink that up.
Right.
But that's not a cheap operation.
It starts to get complicated and expensive.
Yes, very, very quickly.
Yes.
Very quickly. That's my biggest issue with them. The next question is, does adding weight to the guitar, like using a clamp as a capo, or does that change the tone?
It depends on where you add the weight. If you add the weight at the bridge, yes, it acts like a mute.
Yeah.
If you add the weight on the neck, could change, well, obviously changes the balance of the instrument.
Yep.
So it's going to make it, depending on how you hold your guitar, maybe more difficult to
Yeah, a little bit
maintain
more
the hold.
left arm upwards.
Yeah, very heavy neck-wise. And
Well, if you turn it upside down, then it's lifting it up.
and adding weight to a head is one of the ways sometimes luthiers will get around dead notes that are on a on a guitar, or subtracting weight.
The way I look at it is all the great rockers in the 60s who played a Fender P bass, they all had a C-clamp clamped down
That's
to
right.
the head, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You know,
Yes.
it was just a little tiny thing, nothing much, but they
Yeah.
always had a C-clamp stuck onto their head. And that was because those incredible Fender P basses, they all had a wolf note on the G.
Ah,
And if there's only one note that you know as a bassist, you know it's the F sharp. Oh, wait, no, sorry. We're in drop tuning.
Yes.
It's the G. So,
yes. That explains it. I never knew why they did that, but I know they all did
They
it.
all had a wolf tone. So, does adding mass change the sound? Yes, very small amounts. It kind of drives me crazy when I see a tuner clipped onto the head and they complain about their guitar being weird, and then they come in here and they take the tuner off and then they play it for me and they go, that's weird, the weirdness is gone. And I go home and put it back on and like, it's back. I'm like,
Well, there you go.
yes, it changes it. I don't like the clip-on tuners. Plus, to me, it makes you look kind of like an amateur.
Yeah, and they also mar the finish if you leave them on there indefinitely.
Badly, very badly.
Yes.
So, take off your tuners. Just use yours.
Yeah.
All right, let's get on to the next one. Why are Cedar Cypress classical guitars so rare? Does Cypress help clarity with Cedar? Are there tonal drawbacks, or is it just a marketing/tradition issue? I think part of it is that you guys,
Yeah, it's what you order.
yeah, you guys, we say, we can make this wonderful Cypress classical guitar, and you've made some incredibly wonderful Cypress classical guitars, especially for some of the local guitar teachers around here who had the vision to order one from you, and they've ordered one
Not
from
to
me as
mention
well.
Pepe Romero.
Who?
Yes.
Okay, so in order to have a guitar like that, we as guitarists have to get over the notion of Cypress is only a flamenco guitar, because it never was. The Cypress or rosewood, and whether it's Brazilian, Indian, or any of the myriad of other
Or other woods. Maple, mahogany, blah, blah, blah.
right. Traditionally speaking, it was always a matter of economics, not a class distinction of those are the low-class flamencos, those are the literate concert guitarists. It was just, can you afford it? Or can you not afford it? If you can't afford it, let's find a wood. Oh, I saw this guy that got buried over there a couple days ago, and they went all Bob the Necromancer on him and did an unboxing. So, whenever we build a guitar nowadays, the cost of the wood is generally not that huge of a factor, right?
Right. Compared to 100 years ago. Big difference.
Right, I mean-
big proportional difference.
Back then it was about 90% of the cost of the instrument was wood, 80 to 90.
Maybe not quite that bad, but close to it. It was a huge disparate. The cost of the wood was the biggest factor in your price.
Right.
At delivery.
And nowadays
It's the opposite.
It's exactly the opposite.
It's exactly the opposite.
To say why can't you find it? Look for a great Ramirez flamenco guitar. Just because it says flamenco doesn't mean that it's a flamenco guitar. It has 6 strings and frets. Just play the dang thing.
If you play Renaissance music, Baroque music, those guitars, those Ramirez flamencos, are probably a little bit more appropriate instrument for that style of music. Also, if you play jazz, most jazz guitars, when they pick those up, say, oh, this is much better than those rosewood ones.
Yeah, and
So-
same with the bossa nova players.
Keep an open mind.
Yeah. Actually, we just had a Peruvian musician come through.
Yeah,
here,
absolutely.
And he tried a number of the rosewood stuff, settled into Cypress. Actually, he settled into a Cypress and Cedar flamenco guitar that he absolutely loved. I will say though, if you don't handle the finish correctly, it can be visually jarring to have that ultra pale Cypress
Yes.
versus a dark Cedar.
Yeah.
So there is kind of a visual thing, but if you get past that, check out some of these flamenco guitars, especially the Ramirez's, I know I've got one on my website, so there's a shameless plug. And if you like this, take a look at it, because it helps support it and keep this going. String beads, worth a look? No.
Next question. Or do we want to talk about that?
My issue with string beads is that they add mass to a guitar. They add complexity to a guitar. They add the potential for slippage on the guitar, because generally people who use the string beads are doing it on a 6-hole bridge. For the statement of it increases downforce and break angle, which I did a video on why that doesn't matter. We'll link to that somewhere, maybe down in the description. They change the sound of the guitar. I genuinely don't like them. As the great saying is, a fool and their money are easily parted.
And when the string breaks and you've got it mounted with a string bead, if it's in the case, that thing backfires across the back of the instrument and leaves a whole skitter line of bonks and dings as it goes to the end of the case.
Yeah.
It ricochets around in there.
Especially on that 4th string right underneath, because those are typically breaking in that general vicinity. And so you've got that kinetic energy shooting it back.
Yep.
So, not a big fan. In fact, I've got a whole drawer of them that I have saved from people bringing in their guitars. And actually, I've had a couple guitars complain about various issues that have arisen from using the string beads.
Again, I'll get back to my original statement. If you're a professional and you're playing on a concert stage in front of an audience, and for whatever reason, you have a string break and you've got to change the string, I guarantee you the amount of time it will take you to remount your new string on that string bead, get it mounted on the guitar, get the tuning machine tuned up to pitch. The audience, you will have lost the audience.
Basically, don't use those.
Yeah.
Feel like we've done a lot of don'ts.
Yeah.
All right, now here's something we can yes to. What should you do if you encounter a classical guitar with an unusual 18-hole tie block, all in one line, that may be structurally weak? Are there ways to reinforce this or address its safety? Here's my answer. Run away.
Yeah. I don't see any realistic way to reinforce it.
Nope.
If the bridge hasn't broken, so maybe it's going to hang in there. I mean, it's pretty much up to the wood, but it's there is always that risk. I mean, even with the 12-hole ones, we see those where the tie blocks tear off with all the strings attached, right through the
I've
line
seen it
of the
with
holes.
the 18 holes as well.
Well, definitely with the 18 holes. Yeah.
It depends on who does it, though, because I know that Jose Romanios is essentially the major pioneer of that. Monica, she is big into that, and a lot of his acolytes are. And the way that they drill the holes, I think, actually makes sense, because
They've got it very offset.
they have all 3 offset, so you're not creating one single fracture line.
Right.
And I think that that's good. That said, I've seen a number of South American guitars where they are all in one line, and yes, they all come in with a broken tie block. So generally, if that's the case, run away, because there's really nothing you can do, and you just have to probably make a new bridge, which is expensive for a very easily preventable problem.
And that's a hit to the value of the instrument if it's got collectible value.
Yes. Thanks for watching. Thank you for coming in, and we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, and check out these videos for you.
And keep the questions coming.